The sound of cracked dishes rattling in the sink penetrated Caleb Foster's consciousness as he jolted awake, his heart racing. Not again. He ran his calloused hands through his unkempt brown hair and glanced at the Mickey Mouse alarm clock 5:42 a.m. His 6-year-old daughter, Lily, had woken up early. Again, pulling himself from the sagging mattress, Caleb stumbled into the kitchen of their modest 2-bedroom apartment to find Lily on tiptoes, trying to reach the cereal box. "Daddy, I was making breakfast," she announced proudly, her strawberry blonde pigtails bobbing with each word. "I see that, pumpkin," Caleb said, lifting her off the counter and planting a kiss on her forehead. "But remember our deal, no kitchen adventures without me. But you were sleeping so hard, you were making the chainsaw noise." Caleb chuckled despite his exhaustion. 3 construction jobs and night classes toward his associate's degree left little room for proper rest, but Lily always came first. Always. "Tell you what," he said, opening the refrigerator to assess their limited options. "How about we make pancakes? I've got an early shift, but we have time." "With bananas." Lily's eyes lit up, momentarily erasing the hint of sadness that had lingered there since her mother walked out 2 years ago. "Half a banana for each of us," Caleb confirmed, carefully portioning their dwindling groceries in his mind. Payday wasn't until Friday, 3 days away. As they ate their modest breakfast, Caleb reviewed Lily's schedule. "Mrs. Hernandez will pick you up from after-school program today because I have that extra job at the Richardson place, remember?" Lily nodded solemnly. "The one with the broken deck." "That's right, smarty pants." "And tomorrow, we'll go to the library after dinner." The library visits were their special treat, free entertainment, and a warm place to spend evenings when he needed to cut back on the heating bill. The thought of another winter struggling to keep their place warm made his stomach clench, but he pushed the worry aside. One day at a time, after dropping Lily off at school, Caleb drove his rusted pickup to the main construction site. The truck sputtered ominously at a red light, adding another concern to his mental list. He couldn't afford repairs now, not with Lily's winter boots needing replacement soon. The day passed in a blur of physical labor, his body moving on autopilot while his mind calculated and recalculated their budget. By 4 o'clock, he'd scarfed down his packed lunch and driven to his second job, a private repair project on a deck for an upscale home in the wealthy part of town. As he pulled up to the elegant stone house, he noticed another car in the driveway, not the older Mercedes sedan belonging to Mr. Richardson, but a sleek black Audi. Caleb checked the address again. This was right. He grabbed his toolbox and approached the front door, its polished brass knocker worth more than his weekly grocery budget. Before he could knock, the door swung open. A woman stood there, her face pale and drawn, eyes red-rimmed. Despite the obvious signs of distress, her presence commanded attention. She wore a simple black dress, her dark auburn hair pulled back in a loose knot. She looked to be in her early 30s, perhaps his age or a few years older. "You must be the carpenter," she said, her voice steadier than her appearance suggested. "Yes, madam, Caleb Foster. Mr. Richardson hired me to fix the deck railings and replace some boards." She nodded absently. "I'm Emma Valenti. Thomas Mr. Richardson was my uncle. He passed away 3 days ago." The news hit Caleb like a physical blow. "I'm so sorry for your loss, Miss Valenti. I had no idea. I can come back another time." "No," she said quickly. "Please continue with the work. Uncle Thomas mentioned it needed to be fixed before." Her voice trailed off and she looked away, blinking rapidly. Caleb shifted uncomfortably. "Are you sure? It's really no problem to reschedule." "I'm sure. The deck is around back. I'll show you." He followed her through the immaculate house, feeling acutely aware of his worn work boots and the dust clinging to his clothes. The place was tastefully decorated but had a sterile quality, like a museum rather than a home. On the back deck, Emma pointed out the areas her uncle had mentioned needed repairs. He was concerned about the safety, said the railings were wobbly. As Caleb inspected the deck, he noticed Emma hadn't gone back inside but stood watching him, arms wrapped around herself despite the mild spring weather. "Would you like me to explain what I'm planning to do?" he offered, sensing she needed distraction. She nodded gratefully. "Actually, yes." For the next hour, Caleb worked while maintaining a gentle conversation with Emma. He learned that Thomas Richardson had raised her after her parents died when she was 12. The house had been her home through high school and college before she moved to the city. "He was my last family," she said softly as Caleb secured a loose railing. "I should have visited more often." Caleb paused his work. "I'm sure he understood. Life gets busy." "Too busy, apparently," she replied bitterly. "I was always working, always had another meeting, another conference call." She looked away. "What's the point of success if you lose everyone you care about along the way?" The raw pain in her voice struck a chord with Caleb. "I don't have any profound wisdom to offer, Miss Valenti, but in my experience, grief has its own timeline. Be patient with yourself." She studied him with curiosity. "You speak from experience." Caleb returned to his work, measuring a replacement board. "My wife left 2 years ago. Different kind of loss, but my daughter had to grieve her mother all the same." "You have a daughter?" The question brought a natural smile to his face. "Lily, she's 6, smartest, bravest kid you'll ever meet." "She sounds wonderful," Emma said, a faint smile softening her features for the first time. "She is." After my wife left, Lily would ask these incredibly profound questions about why people leave. "Kids understand more than we give them credit for." He hesitated, then added, "The hardest part was helping her through her pain while dealing with my own." "How did you manage?" Caleb secured another board before answering. "One day at a time. Some days were just about surviving. Others, we found little moments of joy. Like our Tuesday library nights, Lily calls it our book feast." Emma's shoulders relaxed slightly. "Book feast, I like that." As the evening progressed, Caleb finished the essential safety repairs and promised to return to complete the cosmetic work. When he presented the bill, Emma insisted on paying for the full job. "I can't take payment for work I haven't done yet," he said firmly. "You will complete it, though?" She asked, something like worry flashing in her eyes. "Of course. My word is good, Miss Valenti. I'll be back tomorrow if that works for you." She seemed relieved. "Tomorrow is fine, and please call me Emma." Driving to pick up Lily from his neighbor's apartment, Caleb reflected on the strange afternoon. He'd spent most of it essentially counseling a grieving woman, which wasn't part of his job description. Yet something about Emma's lonely sorrow had resonated with him. He recognized the look of someone trying desperately to keep their emotions contained, afraid they might never stop if they truly let go. The next day, Caleb arrived at the Richardson, now Valenti house, after his morning construction shift. Emma answered the door in jeans and a simple sweater, looking marginally less fragile than the previous day. "I brought lunch," she announced, gesturing to a table on the patio where sandwiches and drinks were laid out. "As a thank you for yesterday, for listening." "That's very kind, but not necessary," Caleb said, genuinely surprised. "Please, I insist. I realized last night that you were the first person I've spoken to about Uncle Thomas who didn't offer empty platitudes or treat me like I might shatter." They ate lunch together on the patio, and Caleb found conversation with Emma surprisingly easy. She asked about Lily, genuinely interested in his stories about first-grade triumphs and challenges. In turn, Caleb learned that Emma had been sorting through her uncle's affairs and taking a rare break from her work. "What exactly do you do?" he asked, realizing she'd neatly avoided mentioning her profession. A subtle shift in her demeanor told him this was a deliberate omission. "I'm in business management," she said vaguely. "Corporate leadership." Caleb nodded, not pressing further. Everyone had aspects of their lives they preferred to keep private. He understood that better than most. As days turned into a week, Caleb found more repair projects around the house: a leaking faucet, a sticking door, loose tiles in the guest bathroom. Each job was legitimate, but he suspected Emma was creating reasons for him to return. For his part, he didn't mind. His evening hours with Emma became a respite from the constant pressure of his financial struggles. They developed a comfortable routine. Caleb would work on whatever project Emma had identified. They would share a simple meal and then talk until he needed to leave to pick up Lily. Emma never complained about his schedule limitations, instead expressing admiration for his dedication to his daughter. "Would you like to bring her sometime?" Emma asked one evening as Caleb packed his tools. "I mean, if that wouldn't be weird. There's that tire swing in the back that no one uses." The question caught him off guard. "Are you sure? Lily's great, but she's still 6, energy level through the roof." "I'd like to meet her," Emma said simply, "if you're comfortable with that." 2 days later, on a Saturday when Caleb had agreed to fix the garden shed, he brought Lily along. He'd prepared her with his usual pep talk about behaving respectfully in other people's homes, but he needn't have worried. Emma and Lily took to each other immediately. While Caleb worked on the shed, Emma showed Lily the tire swing and an old dollhouse that had been stored in the attic. By lunchtime, they were making cookies together in the kitchen, Lily standing on a chair next to Emma as they measured ingredients. "Daddy, Miss Emma has never made cookies from scratch," Lily announced, eyes wide with disbelief. "Is that so?" Caleb raised an eyebrow at Emma, who shrugged with a slightly embarrassed smile. "My culinary education focused more on ordering takeout efficiently," Emma admitted. "That's sad," Lily declared with 6-year-old directness. "Cookies are the best medicine, right, Daddy?" "Right you are, pumpkin." The afternoon passed in a haze of normalcy that felt both foreign and wonderful to Caleb. Watching Emma and Lily together, Lily chattering away, and Emma listening with genuine interest, created a warmth in his chest he hadn't felt in years. When Lily fell asleep on the porch swing after their outdoor dinner, Caleb knew it was time to go. "She's wonderful, Caleb," Emma said softly as they watched Lily sleeping. "You're doing an amazing job with her." "I'm trying," he replied, the simple acknowledgement meaning more than he could express. As he carried a sleepy Lily to the truck, she mumbled against his shoulder. "I like Miss Emma, Daddy. She's pretty and she smells like flowers and she listens real good." "Does she now?" Caleb smiled, catching Emma's eye over Lily's head. The soft look on Emma's face made his heart skip. "Can we come back? If Miss Valenti invites us, sure." Emma stepped forward. "You're both welcome anytime, Lily. I mean that." Over the next few weeks, a pattern emerged. Caleb still worked his regular jobs, but he and Lily spent most weekends at Emma's house. Sometimes he would tackle home improvement projects. Other times, the three of them would go on outings to parks or museums, Emma insisting on paying for admissions as compensation for Caleb's handyman advice. Caleb was acutely aware of the economic disparity between them. Emma never flaunted her wealth, but it was evident in the casual way she suggested activities that would have strained his budget. He maintained certain boundaries, never accepting direct financial help, but allowed her generosity toward Lily. One rainy Saturday in late April, about 6 weeks after they'd met, Caleb arrived without Lily, who was at a classmate's birthday party. He found Emma in the home office, surrounded by papers and looking uncharacteristically stressed. "Bad time?" he asked from the doorway. She looked up, relief washing over her face. "No, perfect timing. I needed a break." She pushed the papers aside. "I'm trying to decide what to do with the house. Uncle Thomas left it to me, but I live in the city, and maintaining 2 properties seems excessive." Caleb felt an unexpected pang at the thought of Emma selling the house, their meeting place, the setting for their growing friendship, or whatever this was becoming. "Have you decided?" he asked carefully. "Not yet." She hesitated. "Actually, I wanted to ask your opinion, as someone who knows about building and property values." They walked through the house together, discussing the pros and cons of various updates that might increase the resale value. Emma listened attentively to his suggestions, taking notes on her phone. In the kitchen, she made coffee, and they sat at the table reviewing her options. You know, Emma said, tracing the rim of her mug, I've been thinking about working remotely more often. Spending more time here instead of my apartment in the city. Because of the memories? Caleb asked, partly, but also. She met his eyes. I've felt more at peace here these past weeks than I have in years. I think that has a lot to do with you and Lily. The admission hung between them, heavy with implication. Caleb's pulse quickened. Her phone rang, cutting him off. She glanced at the screen and frowned. I'm sorry, I have to take this. Caleb nodded and stood to give her privacy, but she touched his arm. No, stay. It won't take long. She answered with a crisp, Valenti speaking, and her entire demeanor shifted. Her posture straightened, her voice took on an authoritative tone Caleb had never heard before. The transformation was remarkable. I told Harris those projections were unacceptable, she said firmly. The board won't approve anything below 20% growth after last quarter's performance. Caleb tried not to eavesdrop, busying himself rinsing their coffee mugs, but phrases like acquisition strategy and quarterly earnings report caught his attention. This didn't sound like middle management speak. When she hung up, Emma looked apologetic. Sorry about that. Work emergency. Sounds intense, Caleb remarked. You must have a lot of responsibility. She shrugged noncommittally. Everyone's job comes with pressure. True, but not everyone deals with board approvals and acquisition strategies. A flicker of something concern, wariness crossed her face. It's complicated. Emma, Caleb said gently, you don't need to be vague about your work. It's obvious you're in a high-level position. That's nothing to hide. She studied him for a long moment. Most people treat me differently when they know. Know what? That I'm the CEO of Valenti Industries. The name registered immediately. Valenti Industries was a Fortune 500 company, a technology conglomerate with offices worldwide. Even Caleb, who paid minimal attention to business news, recognized the name. Oh, he said, processing this revelation. That's impressive. Emma watched him warily, as if waiting for his attitude to change. When it didn't, she continued, I started as my uncle's assistant after business school. He mentored me, eventually made me COO, and when he stepped down 3 years ago, I took over. The company was his life's work. And now it's yours, Caleb observed. Yes. She looked down at her hands. It's why I feel so guilty about not visiting him more often. I was so focused on making him proud, running his company successfully, that I neglected the man himself. I doubt he saw it that way, Caleb said. Sounds like he was preparing you for this role. He must have been incredibly proud. Tears welled in Emma's eyes. That's what his lawyer said when reading the will. That Uncle Thomas spoke of me with tremendous pride. Caleb moved to her side, offering a tissue from the box on the counter. As she took it, their fingers brushed and neither pulled away immediately. The moment stretched between them, charged with unspoken feelings. Does it bother you? Emma asked suddenly. What I do, who I am, why would it? Because I've been essentially lying by omission, because there's a significant economic disparity between us. Caleb considered this. You weren't lying, you were protecting yourself, which I understand. As for the money, he shrugged. I'd be lying if I said it doesn't make me self-conscious sometimes, but that's my issue, not yours. Caleb, these past weeks with you and Lily have been the most genuine human connection I've had in years. Most people in my world want something from me: influence, investments, connections. You just talk to me like a person. You are a person, he said simply. A remarkable one, but still just a person. The rain tapped steadily against the windows as they stood in the kitchen, the atmosphere between them shifting. When Emma took a step closer, Caleb felt his resolve weakening. He'd been fighting his growing feelings for her, telling himself she was still grieving, that their worlds were too different, that he had Lily to consider. But the look in Emma's eyes mirrored his own longing. I should go, he said quietly, not moving, or you could stay, she whispered. Just a little longer. His phone chimed with a text from Lily's friend's mother. The birthday party would run an hour late due to the rain. As if the universe were granting permission. When Emma reached for his hand, Caleb made no attempt to resist. Their fingers interlaced, and the simple contact sent warmth spreading through his chest. She stepped closer, and he caught the familiar scent of her perfume, something subtle and floral that Lily had described perfectly. "Emma," he murmured, a question and a statement. She answered by rising on tiptoes and pressing her lips to his. The kiss was gentle at first, hesitant, but deepened as Caleb responded, his free hand finding the small of her back. When they finally separated, both slightly breathless, Emma rested her forehead against his chest. "I wasn't looking for this," she said softly. "For you." "Neither was I," Caleb admitted, "but here we are." They moved to the living room, sitting close together on the sofa as the rain continued outside. Their conversation flowed naturally from serious to lighthearted, punctuated by occasional kisses that grew more comfortable with repetition. When Caleb finally left to pick up Lily, he drove through the rain with a curious lightness in his chest, despite the new complications in his life. He had no illusions about the challenges they might face, their different worlds, the potential public scrutiny Emma might endure, the careful integration with Lily's life. Yet for the first time in years, he felt hopeful about the possibility of sharing his life with someone who saw him, really saw him, and valued what she found. The next few months unfolded with cautious joy. Emma began spending 3 days a week at her uncle's house, working remotely and seeing Caleb and Lily in the evenings. Weekends became their time together, trips to the zoo, movie nights, baking sessions with Lily as the enthusiastic instructor. Caleb initially worried about Lily becoming too attached before he and Emma were certain of their relationship, but his daughter approached the situation with surprising wisdom. "Daddy," she said one night as he tucked her into bed, "is Miss Emma your girlfriend now?" "Would that be okay with you if she was?" he asked carefully. Lily considered this with theatrical seriousness. "She makes you smile, the real smile, not the tired smile, and she helps me with reading, and she never ever talks to me like I'm a baby." "Those are good things," Caleb acknowledged. "So yes, it's okay." Lily nodded decisively before adding, "But I get to keep being your best girl, right? Always and forever, Pumpkin," he promised, his heart full. When Caleb shared this conversation with Emma the next day, tears shimmered in her eyes. "She's extraordinary," Emma said. "You've raised her to be so emotionally intelligent." "She's had to grow up faster than I would have liked," Caleb admitted. "But we're doing okay." Emma took his hand. "Better than okay, but I've been thinking your apartment lease is up next month, right?" Caleb nodded, tension creeping into his shoulders. The rent increase his landlord had announced was keeping him up at night. He'd been looking for a new place, but everything in safe neighborhoods with good schools was beyond his budget. "I have a proposal," Emma continued. "This house has 5 bedrooms and sits empty most of the week. What if you and Lily moved in? Not as tenants," she added quickly, seeing his expression. "As family." "Emma, that's too fast?" she asked, vulnerability flashing across her face. "I know it's only been a few months, but I love you, Caleb. I love Lily. When I'm not with you both, I'm counting the hours until I can be." The declaration of love hung in the air between them. They'd been circling those words, both feeling them, but neither having voiced them until now. "I love you too," Caleb said, the words coming easily because they were true. "But moving in together is a big step, especially with Lily involved." "We could do it gradually," Emma suggested. "Keep your apartment at first, stay here on weekends, see how it feels." Lily would have her own room to decorate however she wants. There's that perfect space off the kitchen that would make an incredible home office for your online classes. The thought was tempting more than tempting, but Caleb's pride still wrestled with accepting such generosity. "I need to contribute," he said firmly. "This has to be a partnership, not charity." Emma's expression softened. "I would never see you that way, but I understand." She thought for a moment. "The house needs ongoing maintenance, you have those skills." "And," she added with a hint of mischief, "I happen to know the owner is desperate for someone to manage the renovations on the 3rd floor." The solution wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Over the next weeks, they established boundaries that respected both Caleb's independence and the reality of their different financial situations. Emma never flaunted her wealth, but didn't apologize for it either. Caleb learned to accept her generosity with grace when it benefited Lily, while maintaining his own contributions to their relationship. By summer's end, Caleb and Lily had fully moved into the house. The transition wasn't without challenges. Lily missed their neighbors. Caleb had to drive farther to his construction jobs, and occasionally, differences in their backgrounds created misunderstandings. But the foundation they'd built was strong. One evening in late September, Caleb found Emma sitting on the porch swing, tablet in hand, frowning at what appeared to be spreadsheets. "Work trouble?" he asked, handing her a cup of tea as he joined her. "Board meeting tomorrow. We're announcing a new initiative, a foundation in Uncle Thomas's name. It's going to provide scholarships and apprenticeship opportunities in the construction trades." Caleb raised an eyebrow. "That sounds familiar." Emma smiled. "It might have been inspired by a certain carpenter who once told me about the barriers to entering skilled trades for those without financial resources." Sounds like a smart guy." "He is, exceptionally so, which is why I wanted to ask." She set her tablet aside. "Would you consider serving on the advisory board? We need people with actual experience in the field, not just corporate types." Caleb was genuinely surprised. "You're serious?" "Completely. Your perspective would be invaluable. And it's paid work, real compensation for your expertise, not a token position." The offer represented something significant. Emma, seeing him as an equal contributor in his own right, with knowledge and skills valuable in her world too. "I'd be honored," he said finally. "Though I might need to upgrade my work boots for board meetings." Emma laughed and leaned against him. "Wear whatever you want. The whole point is bringing different worlds together." The next morning, Caleb woke early as usual but found Emma already up, sitting at the kitchen table with Lily. They were hunched over a piece of paper, whispering conspiratorially. "What are you two plotting?" he asked, pouring himself coffee. Lily quickly covered the paper with her arms. "It's a surprise, no peeking." "Daddy, go away for 5 more minutes," Lily instructed firmly. Amused, Caleb took his coffee to the porch. Through the window, he could see them working intently, Lily's face serious with concentration, Emma nodding encouragingly. The sight filled him with contentment. A year ago, he'd been barely staying afloat, worried about giving Lily the stability she deserved. Now they had this, not just financial security, but a family taking shape around them. When Lily finally called him back inside, she was practically bouncing with excitement. "We made this for you, Daddy." She thrust the paper into his hands. It was a crayon drawing of 3 stick figures holding hands in front of a house, clearly their family. Above it, in Lily's careful printing, "Will you marry Emma?" Caleb looked up in surprise to find Emma watching him, a small velvet box in her palm. "I know it's traditionally the man who asks," she said, a hint of nervousness in her voice. "But I've never been great at following traditions, and Lily wanted to help." "We planned it all week, Daddy," Lily informed him proudly. "I kept the secret the whole time." Caleb found himself momentarily speechless, looking between his daughter's hopeful face and the woman who had transformed their lives. "I fell in love with both of you," Emma continued, reaching for Lily's hand. "And I want us to be a family officially, if you'll have me." "Say yes, Daddy," Lily Stage whispered. "I already practiced being a flower girl." Caleb laughed, emotion tightening his throat. "In that case, how could I possibly say no?" He pulled them both into his arms. "Yes, absolutely yes." Later, after Lily had gone to school, wearing her official engagement announcement outfit that she'd selected for the occasion, Caleb and Emma sat on the porch swing, her head on his shoulder, her engagement ring catching the morning light. "A year ago, I was drowning in grief and work," Emma reflected. "I never imagined finding this kind of happiness again. A year ago, I was working 3 jobs and still falling behind on bills." Caleb added. I'd given up on the idea of sharing my life with someone who understood me. Emma tilted her face up to his. We saved each other, I think. We did, Caleb agreed, kissing her softly. And we'll keep doing that every day. As they sat together, planning their future, Caleb marveled at how unexpected life's turns could be. He had come to fix a deck and found the missing piece of his heart instead. Emma had returned to say goodbye to her uncle and discovered a new beginning. Their worlds, seemingly so separate, had collided through grief and healing, creating something neither had been looking for, but both desperately needed a family built on understanding, respect, and love that transcended their differences.